Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Dr. Barkis Ophthalmology Tutorials. Today we will discuss about one more important short topic, that is xerophthalmia or vitamin A deficiency. Okay, so this question can be asked for your 5-mark question as well as a 3-mark question. So I will be discussing this topic of xerophthalmia under the headings of definition, what is the prevalence, what are the various causes for vitamin A deficiency, WHO classification of vitamin A deficiency, the differential diagnosis as well as treatment and prophylaxis aspect. Okay, so if you are asked for the 5-mark question, you will have to write all these headings. Okay, if it is asked for only 3-mark question, you can just write the definition, WHO classification of xerophthalmia as well as treatment and prophylaxis. Okay, so that is more than enough for 3-mark questions. So without much delay, let's begin our video on xerophthalmia. So the first thing is how you define xerophthalmia. So you can define xerophthalmia as ocular manifestations of vitamin A deficiency. So whenever there is vitamin A deficiency, it will manifest in various forms in the eye, that is ocular manifestations of vitamin A deficiency. So how will be the changes? So it can lead to both structural changes as well as the biophysical changes. So structural changes happen in the conjunctiva, cornea and the retina, whereas the biophysical changes occur at the level of rods and cones. So finally you can define xerophthalmia as ocular manifestations of vitamin A deficiency, which will manifest as structural changes in the conjunctiva, cornea and the retina, and the biophysical changes in the rods and cones. So before going to the prevalence, what is the importance of vitamin A deficiency in children? The first thing is, it will cause the eye disease, various eye diseases which can lead to blindness. The second most important thing is, and most commonly it is associated with other systemic disease in the children. So these children with any signs of vitamin A deficiency are at high risk of dying. Okay, so that is the serious problem we should consider. And whenever we find a child with a vitamin A deficiency, you should also screen the family members, that is other siblings of the child as well as even the children in the community should be screened for vitamin A deficiency, because even those children are at risk of developing vitamin A deficiency or might have developed the vitamin A deficiency which we may miss. Okay, so it should be considered as a systemic problem rather than just the ocular problem. So if you come to the prevalence, in worldwide it is like 228 million children are suffering from vitamin A deficiency. Among them, 1 to 3 million children are dying because of vitamin A deficiency. Okay, and 5 to 10 million children we have the ocular manifestations of the eye disease. And if you look at the statistics in the India, almost 6.5% of the children are suffering from vitamin A deficiency. So now let's see the causes for this vitamin A deficiency. So these causes can be broadly divided into those which are associated with a nutritional deficiency, that is deficient intake, or there can be problem with the absorption of the vitamin A, or there can be a problem with the storage of the vitamin A. So when we consider the nutritional deficiency, usually it is associated with protein energy malnutrition, or there can be chronic infection in the child, or the child may be suffering from chronic diarrhea, as well as even the alcoholism in adults can lead to vitamin A deficiency. If you come to defective absorption, the causes can be in the colon like Crohn's disease, it can be celiac disease, or even the pancreatic diseases will hamper the absorption of vitamin A. Even if there is some problem with the storage of vitamin A, like in case of liver diseases or the cystic fibrosis, then there can be vitamin A deficiency. You can classify causes as nutritional problem, or problem with absorption, or problem with the storage. So now we will move on to WHO classification for the xerophthalmia. So I will explain in a very simple way. So this is the classification for xerophthalmia. So X is common for every classification. So first is xerophthalmic night blindness. N stands for night blindness. So this is the stage where we have only symptom. Okay, so that is xerophthalmic night blindness. So as you all know, the symptoms will appear first, then the signs may appear. So the next we will start with the signs. We have X1, 2, 3. Then XS and F. Simple. Okay, so X1 is whenever there is involvement of the conjunctiva. So here we have two types, XA and XB. XA is conjunctival xerosis. XB is where there is appearance of the Bitot spot in the conjunctiva. So X1 is related to conjunctiva only. X2 means there is involvement of the cornea. So there is corneal xerosis here. So you know the meaning of the word xerosis. Xerosis is nothing but dryness. So you have xeroderma where there is dryness of the skin. So similarly, the xerophthalmia is dryness of the eyes. Okay, so that is the little meaning of the xerophthalmia, dryness of the eye. So in the X2 there is corneal xerosis. In X3 this progresses further and leads to what is known as ulcer formation in the cornea. Again we have A and B here. X3A is nothing but corneal ulcer involving less than 1/3 of the cornea, whereas X3B is corneal ulcer involving more than 1/3 of the cornea. Simple. Okay. Then once there is corneal ulcer, it will heal and lead to formation of the scar. That is nothing but xerophthalmic scar formation. And then if the disease is not treated still, it will affect the fundus also, leading to xerophthalmic fundus. That is classified as XF. So this is simple classification for xerophthalmia. XN, where there is only symptom, that is night blindness. X1 AB, where there is affection of the conjunctiva. X1A is conjunctival xerosis, B is Bitot spot. X2 corneal xerosis, X3 corneal ulcer formation, in that AB less than 1/3, more than 1/3. XS scar formation in this cornea. XF is the xerophthalmic fundus. So now we will see what are the features in all this. So as I told, in the first stage of XN there is only night blindness. So if you suspect some vitamin A deficiency in particular child, you should dig the history and ask parents whether the child is having difficulty in mesopic vision or the night vision. Then you can elicit the history of night blindness. In conjunctival xerosis stage, where there is dryness of the conjunctiva, we see patches of dry, lusterless patches in the conjunctiva. These dry, lusterless, non-wettable patches are seen in the conjunctiva, which usually involves the temporal quadrant first, then the nasal quadrant. Okay, and even there can be conjunctival thickening, wrinkling, as well as the pigmentation in the conjunctival xerosis stage. The next is the Bitot spot, which is like a hallmark for the xerophthalmia. It is seen only in the xerophthalmia. So what is Bitot spot? How we appreciate it? So these Bitot spots are seen as raised silvery white foamy triangular patch of keratinized epithelium on the bulbar conjunctiva. Okay, so it can be either bilateral or it can be temporal, and less common is only on the nasal side. Okay, that is Bitot spot. If you come to X2, that is the corneal xerosis, there is corneal dryness. So it manifests as punctate keratopathy, usually involves the lower and the nasal quadrant of the cornea. Okay, so there is punctate keratopathy in the lower nasal quadrant of the cornea, and the cornea loses its luster. So it looks like hazy cornea with a granular pebbly dryness. That is corneal xerosis. So if you come to corneal ulcer formation in the stage X3A, where there is less than 1/3 involvement of the cornea. So what happens here is there is liquefactive necrosis of the collagen fibers of the cornea. So there is stromal melting because of necrosis of the collagen fibers. There is melting of the stroma, so leading to ulcer formation. In stage X3A, the ulcers are very small. Okay, very small ulcers in the periphery, which are less than 3 mm in diameter, are seen in the periphery of the cornea. These are circular ulcers with a steep and sharply demarcated margin. So that constitutes your X3A stage. If the disease is treated at this stage, these will heal with a very good vision. But if it is not treated, it will progress to B stage, where the ulcer is more than 3 mm in diameter. So these are very large ulcers with areas of necrosis, which can extend even into the center or into the periphery also. So these ulcers will heal with the scar formation. Then next, once the ulcer heals, it will form a scar. Otherwise, even the ulcer can completely melt the cornea, and there can be perforation of the cornea as well. So if you come to the fundus, that is xerophthalmic fundus, here you will see seed-like raised whitish lesions. Okay, here you will see seed-like raised whitish lesion which are distributed in the posterior pole of the fundus. So this constitutes the XF stage. Okay, so this is about the WHO classification. The next table is showing the classification depending upon the age. Okay, so XN is common in which age, other stages are common in which age. Okay, so we have various other diseases which will mimic this vitamin A deficiency, like the parasitic eye disease of the eye, like the acanthamoeba keratitis can mimic the ulcer stage in the xerophthalmia. The trachoma allergic conjunctivitis, viral conjunctivitis, even the dry eye syndrome, which closely mimics the vitamin A deficiency, and the retinitis pigmentosa, where the patient will have night blindness as the presenting symptom. So we'll have to differentiate from all these DDs. So now moving on to the important aspect of vitamin A deficiency, that is treatment aspect. So whenever it comes to the treatment, you should always treat the underlying disease first. Then there is local treatment of the eye, and then systemic treatment with the vitamin A. So underlying disease like PM, diarrhea, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, infections and the parasitic conditions has to be promptly treated by pediatrician. Then with the eye, since the child is having very dry eyes, so you should treat these patients with 0.7% of HPMC, that is hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. Then the symptoms of dryness will come down. And if the child has already gone into the ulcer stage, treat in the lines of corneal ulcer management, which I have discussed in my previous videos. Okay, the most important aspect is the vitamin A treatment, that is systemic treatment with the vitamin A. So you can either give the vitamin A in the oral form, or if the child is suffering from diarrhea or there is severe vomiting, then you can go for the injectable vitamin A. And this vitamin A deficiency should be considered as an emergency, and you should hospitalize the patient and then treat with the vitamin A. Okay, so let's see the regimen for vitamin A treatment. So here you have to remember the age of the child as well as how many international units of vitamin A you give. Okay, so if the child is less than 6 months of age, then give 50,000 international units. 6 months to 1 year, or the child is weighing less than 8 kgs, then go for 1 lakh international units. If more than 1 year or more than 8 kgs, then go for 2 lakh international units. So these are for the orally given retinal palmitate. Okay, so what is the schedule? Here when you diagnose the child, at that day only you should give the first dose, that is 0, then on the next day, then after 14 days. So it should be given in 3 doses, 0, 1 and 14. So this is the schedule for the oral retinal palmitate. If you consider the woman of reproductive age group and they are suffering from just night blindness and the conjunctival xerosis or the bitot spots, then you give 10,000 international units of vitamin A, which is in the form of sugar coated tablets for 2 weeks. And if the woman is suffering from more than stage X2, that is corneal involvement, then it is like this age group. Okay, so this is for orally given retinal palmitate. For the injectables, you should give half the doses of this oral form. Clear? This chart you should remember very much to write in the exams, that is vitamin A deficiency treatment. So remember, this is treatment, not the prophylaxis. So for any disease, prophylaxis is better than treatment always. So how do you prevent this vitamin A deficiency? That is prophylaxis. We have short term management, medium term as well as the long term. So medium term is just fortification of the food with vitamin A, like fortification of the salt or the fortification of oil which we use for cooking, that is fortified with vitamin A. In the long term, you should always encourage the community to take green leafy vegetables, papaya and the drumsticks, which are very much rich in vitamin A. The short term is where you have to aggressively give the prophylaxis. So for that we have the dosage again. If the child is of 6 months to 1 year, give 1 lakh international units of vitamin A. Orally should be repeated 3 to 6 months. Okay. For 1 to 6 years of age, 2 lakhs international units every 6 months. Again orally. If we have a lactating mother, then you give 20,000 international units at delivery once and then for the next 2 months. This will raise the blood levels of the vitamin A. So that is more than enough for child who is breastfed. That's why the schedule is not given for less than 6 months babies who are breastfed. So you will be treating lactating mother only, so that is more than enough for the baby. But if the child is less than 6 months and not breastfed, then go for 50,000 international units orally. Okay. So I will repeat again. So all these short term prophylaxis is given orally. Okay. And then depending upon the age, 6 months to 1 year, 1 lakh, 1 to 6 years, 2 lakh. Okay. Repeated every 6 months. Lactating mother, 20,000 international units at delivery and then after that for 2 months. Baby is less than 6 months and not breastfed, 50,000 international units orally once. Okay. So this is the prophylaxis. And one more prophylactic strategy which is used commonly is according to the revised schedule of vitamin A supplements that is implemented in Child Survival and Safe Motherhood program. So here usually we give first dose of vitamin A at 9 months of age along with the measles vaccination. So this is 1 lakh international units. Second dose is given 2 lakhs international units at 18 months along with the DPT or the OPV booster dose. And the third dose is 2 lakhs at 2 years. Okay, this is also very simple to remember. So you are giving along with the national vaccination program. So the first dose, that is 1 lakh international units, is given along with the measles at 9 months. Second, 2 lakhs given along with DPT or the OPV booster at 18 months of the 1.5 years. Then the third is 2 lakhs again at 2 years. Okay, so this is about the prophylaxis for vitamin A deficiency. So hope this video on xerophthalmia is useful to all of you. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon for further notifications. Please do like and share my videos as well as leave your valuable comments. Thank you so much.